Health over the sixth seed. The Rams have made the call. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the January 3rd, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. So the Rams have made the call, and we're going to get into it in a second here. A lot of teams have made the call on what they're going to be doing this weekend with their starters, and as they've secured and locked up playoff spots. And then we're going to look at some Ram history, injury updates, all that stuff. But first, it's Carson Wentz's time to shine, huh? Carson Wentz has been named the starter for this week. And Sam Darnold will be starting for the 49ers, along with Wentz playing Stafford, Kyrene Williams, Ernest Jones. Talk about where you've elevated yourself status-wise. Ernest Jones is now one of those guys the Rams can't afford to lose. So he won't be playing along with Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. And I get it. I understand it. Sam Darnold will be playing for Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey with a tender calf will be held out for the 49ers. It'll be interesting to see who else of the 49ers play. I think the 49ers, with their history and how close their window is to closing, I don't think they can afford to play anybody, because a win or a loss does nothing. They've secured the top spot in the NFC, but there is a strain of recklessness. You know, there is a stretch where the 49ers have left Christian McCaffrey in a game to get a touchdown time with Lenny Moore or some touchdown totals or something. Deebo Samuel returning kicks. These are foolish things for a franchise that really has sunk everything into this season. And so it'll be interesting to see who they play and who they don't play. The Rams, on the other hand, can go from 6 to 7. They're in the playoffs, but they could be the 7th seed or they could be the 6th seed. What does 7th seed mean? 7th seed, I think, means going to Dallas, maybe. 6th seed, I think, means going to, or maybe Detroit, right? We've heard all that, right? Everyone's all jazzed about Detroit. I get why the teams are being safe. I totally get it. Everyone has a perspective, and I don't think anyone's perspective on it is wrong. A lot of people are making issue of in 2017, and I had forgotten about it, that in 2017, McVay benched some starters, and then the following week when they did play the Falcons, they were flat, and it wasn't a very good game for the Rams. It was a great season, a great bounce-back season after going since 2004, not making the playoffs. But it was a sad ending. On the other hand, you get why, hey, man, I don't want to risk anything. And the Rams are a real weird hybrid. They've got their stars, and you don't want your stars getting hurt. And the stars know how to, hey, I can take a week off and be ready to play in another week. Where your young guys, my attitude was play those guys. Keep your foot on the pedal. No one's expecting anything from you this year. If an injury happens, it happens. But I think the Rams are expecting to do some damage. And put it this way, too. If the Rams weren't going to start Stafford and we were going to see John Wolford, I'd really be disappointed. But there is something interesting about Carson Wentz starting this game. Carson Wentz, I'm thinking, this is his 4th team, right? Eagles, Colts, Reds, Texans, and Rams. This is his 4th team. I got a feeling Carson Wentz is going to be very, very locked in, and it works twofold. It's one, if something should happen to Stafford in the playoffs, Wentz has got some reps under his belt with the Rams offense where he's actually throwing passes, and good. That's great, because he's a proven NFL quarterback. He's got some personality or clubhouse issues, but he's a quarterback. And you could look at his numbers, the media and the websites and all the social media stuff, they trash him left and right. But he's a quality NFL quarterback, quality arm, has had some really big seasons. As recent as 2021, he threw 27 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions for the Colts. And because the team didn't make the playoffs, he took the hit for it. So it'll be interesting to see him come out. I imagine he's going to be motivated. And, with seeing who the 49ers are benching, this is very much a game the Rams probably could win. And so Carson Wentz, that's a good deal. And on the flip side of it, if he plays just well enough and the team doesn't lose, the flip side of it, if he doesn't throw another pass this year, which would be a good thing, maybe the Rams make a deal. Maybe he makes a deal with the Rams. He's gotten his money. Maybe he makes a deal and spends another year in rehab with the Rams, or another 2 years in rehab with the Rams, and takes advantage of being under Sean McVay. And this is another moment, right? Baker Mayfield last year, and I'll even put Demarcus Robinson. We're seeing things out of Demarcus Robinson that if you had seen this when he was with the Chiefs or the Ravens, he certainly wouldn't be with the Rams now. But there's something about McVay and his system. There was the old cowboy saying, or old West saying, where cowboy will ride a horse until it drops and dies. And it talks about a Native American or an Indian will find that same horse, ride him 10 more miles and until he dies, because they just know how to get the most out of the animal. And McVay seems to know how to get the most out of players. And the redemption tour, huh? Maybe Sean McVay is the clean cut version of Al Davis in the 70s. And I'm excited to see this. Rams are in the playoffs no matter what. And getting to the 6th or 7th seed, depending on what the Packers do. I wasn't really too wrapped up in them playing Detroit. I want the Rams in a playoff game. I don't want the emotion of some Stafford homecoming to add to the playoff game, because I don't really want it to be about Stafford, Goff, Rams, Lions, and who got the better part of the deal. We want a Super Bowl. Everyone's getting, I'd love to see that game. No, I don't want to see a good game. I want to see a 42-7 Rams win. That's my idea of a good game, right? And I don't need to see an emotional slugfest that either the Rams win or lose, because everyone's all caught up in the trade and the history between the teams. You got Brad Holmes coming from the Rams. I don't need to see it. And I don't know if Detroit's the easy out. A lot of people are saying Detroit's the easy out. Does Philly look too impressive these days? Philly doesn't look impressive. Does Dallas look impressive? I know Dallas worked the Rams, but I don't know. If there's ever a team in the NFL with Mike McCarthy as the HC and Dak Prescott as the quarterback that really knows how to swallow the jalapeno, it's the Dallas Cowboys. And they're playing out of desperation, and the Rams would be going to Texas playing free and easy because no one expects them to be here. The team's a lot more healthy. I think they could really put the entire state of Texas in serious depression if they go in there and beat the Cowboys. So Detroit's a powerful team. Detroit's a really good team. And I don't know, the Cowboys stole that game. The NFL gave it to the Cowboys. Detroit's a better team than the Cowboys right now. And I'm not wrapped up in this whole I want to see a great game between the Rams and Lions and all the emotion of Stafford's homecoming. I don't care. The playoffs are the playoffs, and that's what matters. Real quick review here of the NFC playoff picture. Of course, 49ers are 12-4. They're not going anywhere. Lions 11. When I say not going anywhere, they're not going to move anywhere into this playoff picture. Lions are 11-5. Cowboys are 11-5. Lions. Cowboys 11-5. Buccaneers have to win the North, right? So they're 8-8. And then the Eagles right now are in the wild card spot in the fifth spot, Rams in the sixth, and of course it's the Packers in the seventh. A Packers win over the Bears, which, the Packers got everything to play for right now. You can't go into Minnesota and handle them the way they did and then come back and lay an egg at Lambeau. So they're going to beat the Bears. You just got a feeling. But I don't know if the 49ers, with everyone sitting right now, if this is the walkover game that the 49ers are going to win this game against the Rams, especially when you got a Carson Wentz playing and not necessarily a John Wolford. So Saints and Falcons are battling. That game is in New Orleans. Seahawks Cards, and of course the Vikings are playing the Lions, and we'll see what happens there. AFC playoff picture: Ravens are 13-3. They've locked everything up. Dolphins Bills is a huge one. I mean, there's potential in the AFC that a 10-win team could miss the playoffs, and that could be the Bills if they don't take care of business against the Dolphins. Chiefs are 10-6, Jaguars 9-7, and right now slated to play the Browns, and that's bad news. Steelers have a shot. Ravens, they're playing the Ravens. Ravens are resting everybody. Steelers can end up with 10 wins, and Mason Rudolph could come in and say, "Hey, I want to renegotiate my contract." I don't know how Steeler fan Rob feels about that, but Steeler fan Rob, Mason Rudolph saved your season. Texans Colts. That's a huge one on Saturday. I'm going with the Colts at home. Just going with the Colts at home. A little more experience there than, say, this young Ravens team. Around the NFL and other places, just again, Dalvin Cook was put in the street by the Jets. He's redone his contract, so all of his guaranteed money is gone, so he's a little more open. I saw one report linking him to the Cowboys, which would be a good deal for the Cowboys. Also saw one linking him to the Ravens and to the Browns. He's just got to decide which Super Bowl team he wants to go to, or does he want to just get some reps? Personally, if I want to go to a Super Bowl, I might sign with the Ravens. I don't think I'd sign with the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. Or let's just all hope the Cowboys don't go to the Super Bowl. But the one that interests me is that if I'm the Browns, I really make a push to see if Dalvin Cook is interested in coming to Cleveland. Patrick Mahomes is sitting out this week. Lamar Jackson is sitting out this week. And the Browns are sitting Joe Flacco this week. Given their history at quarterback, they probably want to pack Joe Flacco in bubble wrap so they can go into their first round of the playoffs as healthy as can be. Okay, that's pretty much it. We had a long show on Tuesday. Happy to be here today. I'm Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do RamView. Thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto. Check those guys all out. And I write books. My books are found on Amazon. You can type in Joe Terosian. This is my high school football novel. I got two of them out there. They were received really well, did very well. Check them out and support the show. And I write books and I do RamView to support me in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we have a channel right here on YouTube called Burbank Faith Virtual, and you can check us out across social media and see all the different places we are, because we're pretty much everywhere. For those that have signed up, thank you so much. Our numbers have really jumped up of late, and can't say thank you enough. If you could check us out on Spotify, we need help there. Our numbers are not very good on Spotify. We started this thinking Spotify would be the home, but instead it's been right here at YouTube. So you guys have made a big difference. Thank you so much. I don't know if we got any questions here yet. All right, we do have some questions that came in from Tim Burns, our good friend Tim Burns up in NorCal. So is he playing Puka for the record? A Matt Caffrey-like decision? Yes, I was going to kind of get to that in the back half of the show, Mr. Burns, that says Puka will play, and I don't like it. I'm sorry. If you're going to bench Kupp and everybody, Puka takes hits. He's a physical receiver. I don't want to see those ribs get bruised. I don't want to see the shoulder get bruised, and I don't give a rat's fandero about the record. I know Puka does. The Rams could reward him. The Rams could say, hey, you know what? We're going to bench you here, but we're going to give you a little extra something here, an extra something that, because you're going to make a decision for the team and not necessarily for these personal records. It doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, I would sit him. I don't care. 29 yards, I don't care. I don't care. I know the kid cares, and I guess if I was playing, I'd care. But really, what's the big theme this year? The big thing this year is you made the playoffs. Now let's go into it full bore and see what we got, right? And I guess one commenter, I don't know if it was on our thread or another thread, I don't think they were taking a shot. And I understand how I can be perceived. Hey, everything's gravy right now. It's all gravy. No one expected this. And if we, somehow lost in the first round, life is good and we move on. No, I want to win. I do. And if you're gonna play to win, go with your best and make sure your best are healthy. If I'm benching Stafford, if I'm benching Kupp, if I'm benching all these guys, Ernest Jones, Aaron Donald, then I don't know if I'm going to let Nakua play just to get a record. So, yeah, I have a problem with that. I don't care about records. I don't care about trophies. And in the end, no one really cares in the NFL fandom, because baseball is about numbers, right? Everyone knows the plateaus and the numbers. Football, it's like who won the Super Bowl. That's what it's all about, right? Let's see here. Mr. Burns, didn't Carson Wentz marry? No, he didn't marry Meghan Markle. He looks like him, though, doesn't he? He does. Mr. Burns here, one more. Playing at Dallas, where they average over 30 a game and are undefeated. Tougher game than Detroit. Yeah, but you're forgetting this is the Dallas Cowboys under Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. They could drop a 30 burger or a 40 burger on the Rams, and you're going to say, see, Joe, I told you. But the Cowboys don't scare me. We had kind of a banged up Matthew Stafford with the thumb. We didn't have Kyrene Williams. The defense is better now, and such. And so, yeah, I don't even think Havenstein played that game against the Cowboys. So I don't know. Detroit, man, that two-headed monster at running back, their receivers, the Rams' one problem is the pass rush. Well, not one problem, but besides that special teams unit is the pass rush. And if you can't get to Jared Goff, if you can't knock Jared Goff down, Jared Goff's going to blow you away. And so I don't know if Detroit is a safer landing spot than Dallas. I kind of like the challenge. I mean, doesn't every Ram fan relish the idea of derailing a Cowboy season? I mean, 1976, 1979, 1983, 1985, 2018, all those playoff victories over the Cowboys. Every time that happened, it was like, man, it was manna from heaven, right? It was manna from heaven. Okay, let's keep rolling here, guys. And thanks for the questions. I will check back and look at this before we close the show. Rams update. Speaking of Nakua, speaking of Kupp not playing, the Rams brought up Tyler Johnson, wide receiver from the practice squad. He's been activated. Duke Shelley's been designated to return from the IR. In terms of those that have been injured, Joseph Noteboom, Tyler Higbee, Jordan Fuller, Noteboom and Higbee were not participating. Higbee's a veteran. He shouldn't be participating anyway. He should get that Veterans Day off like they give to Rob Havenstein. And honestly, only a night splint and a lot of time will heal that plantar fasciitis on Noteboom. It's just a question of enduring the pain. And then we're going to see with Higbee. Jordan Fuller, he participated in a limited basis with his ankle. And I didn't know about this one, but I got this one just before we went on the air. DeJuan Johnson, Mr. Irrelevant, who had a nice game, who's played nice in the small spots he's played this year. He has a toe, and he was limited today. But he does become a little bit of a factor if something comes up with, say, Bobby Brown's knee again or somebody else gets bounced, him and Laurel Murchison. For the 49ers, McCaffrey, they declared him out, calf strain, some wisdom there. Ambry Thomas, corner, doesn't look like he's going to be back. He has the busted hand. Eric Armstead, veteran, he's missed the last game or two, knee, foot. I think they're going to rest him. Their backup tight end, Ross Dwelling, high ankle sprain. And then two guys that are still in concussion protocol, and they've been there for about 2 weeks. Wide receiver, Jawan Jennings, and tackle, Jalen Moore. And that's the interesting thing. If Jalen Moore is not playing, are they going to rest Trent Williams? Because Jalen Moore would be the backup. And, Trent Williams played against the Texans last week. And so I'm wondering if Trent Williams is going to play this week. I wouldn't play him. I just wouldn't play him. I'd find a third string fullback off my practice squad and put a big number on him and line him up at left tackle or right tackle or whatever you need to do. But I wouldn't play Trent Williams. If I'm not going to play some of these other guys, I ain't going to play Trent Williams. The 49ers lead the series 77, 67, and 3 against the Rams. These teams are 1-1 in the playoffs against each other. Sam Darnold's playing first start of the year. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. So don't sell him short. He's not as efficient. I think he's a little more of a gambler than Brock Purdy. But Sam Darnold's a good NFL quarterback. Well, he's an NFL quarterback. We don't want to say he's great. 49ers, of course, have that pass rush. And again, you're wondering how many reps are they going to get? 49ers don't care about the game. Maybe Deebo Samuel will. If it gets physical, my feeling is if one of those starters is out there on the field, you need to hit him. You need to hit Fred Warner. Does anyone remember the cheap shot Fred Warner took on Matthew Stafford a couple years ago? Hit these guys. Hit these guys. Make them pay. Make them feel it, right? And get them mad. Get them thinking like, oh, okay, we'll see you guys in another 2 weeks. And then maybe they're thinking about the Rams. I want them thinking. I want the 49ers emotional. As it stands right now, I did have this game pegged as a loss for the Rams. When we did this breakdown during the summer, we projected the 49ers to be something like about 12-4. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. We said 12-4, and they would be 13-4 when the season ended, and that's what they would be with a win. Win doesn't feel as automatic now. I'll give you a prediction on Friday, but I think the Rams have a shot because I think Carson Wentz has a lot he wants to prove that he's still an NFL quarterback, and if he signs somewhere, Rams get some comp picks for him. Even if he doesn't sign, he gets some reps in, throws the ball around the field a little bit, gets a feel for the game. And if Stafford has to go out in the next couple weeks, at least you got a guy that has thrown an NFL touchdown pass on multiple occasions, played in playoff games, as opposed to writing everything off with John Wolford, right? So there we go. Saturday's games, Steelers-Ravens. Steelers need the win. Ravens don't care. Lamar Jackson's not playing. Steelers are going to finish the year 10-7. Congratulations to Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. We're still in each other's cool book right now. Texans, Colts, a lot on the line there in the AFC South. I'm going with the Colts and the stash in Indy. I think anything that the Texans do from here on out, it's gravy. No one expected them to be there. You can make DeMeco Ryans, if not Shane Steichen, but you can make DeMeco Ryans coach of the year. Buccaneers, Panthers. Buccaneers need to win this game. Let's just see if they can provoke the Panthers owner to spill a little more beer out of his luxury suite on his own fans. Browns, Bengals. I had Cleveland early, but Joe Flacco's not playing. I don't know what the Bengals have to play for, except maybe a winning record. And so that one, I was leaning Cleveland, and I'm still going to lean Cleveland. Now I'm going to lean Cincy in this one. They want to play for a winning record. Vikings, Lions. I think the Lions should take care of that game because I don't know who Kevin O'Connell's going to start at quarterback. I think the Lions win this one. Jets, Patriots. Not many people care. The Jets are looking to break a streak against the Patriots. I think New England's going to win this one because it could potentially be Belichick's swan song up there in New England. So Falcons, Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints. But every time you think you're going to go with the Saints and think the Saints are going to do something, right? I think a Saints win and a Buccaneers loss, right? I think gives the Saints the playoff berth. So they got a lot to play for there in New Orleans. I'm going to go with New Orleans. Jaguars, Titans. I'm going with Jacksonville. Seahawks, Cardinals. Not that it much matters anymore, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this one. Everyone's getting all hyped up on Kyler Murray, and I get it. I get Kyler Murray's great. He's a fun splash player, but he's not a consistent quarterback. And And as long as Kyler Murray is the quarterback in Arizona, I feel really good about the Rams situation. I really do. But the one thing is, I do think their head coach does have them. They played hard all year in Arizona, and Jonathan Gannon's done a great job there. And so Arizona is a team that kind of scares me a little bit down the road. When the roof caves in Frisco, and the bill comes due in Frisco, I think the team that's going to ascend is going to be Arizona. Bears, Packers. I can't see the Packers losing at Lambeau after winning in Minnesota. Chargers, Chiefs. That's at SoFi. Can you imagine holding on to your tickets all year to see the Chiefs at SoFi, and then Patrick Mahomes isn't playing? But I'm going to go KC, because how can you ever pick the Bolts? How could you? Broncos, Raiders in Vegas. I'm going to go with the Raiders. They want to give an 8th win to this team for Antonio Pierce. Eagles, Giants. Eagles should win this game. If not, there's going to be a lot going on there for the Eagles, the first round of the playoffs. Giants are a team that can sting you. I think their best weapon is Wan'Dale Robinson. Not much of a Saquon Barkley guy. Cowboys, Texans in Washington. I'm still going to go Dallas. And then the big Sunday night game is Bills, Dolphins. And I'm going to lean towards Buffalo, because Buffalo needs it more. On this date in 1963, Jim Everett was born. And so happy birthday to Jim Everett. Guys, I see the questions. I promise I'll get to them. It's become one of my favorite parts of the show. And on this day in 2020, speaking of the Wolf, this was the day of the John Wolford game. The Rams needed to beat the Cardinals to secure a playoff berth. Do you remember that game? And they didn't have Kyler Murray. Rams didn't have Jared Goff in this game, or he was benched. It was kind of a thumb issue, right? Remember? He wasn't good enough to start the next week, but he was good enough to replace Wolford in the first round of the playoffs. So you knew that whole falling out with Goff and McVay was legit. But John Wolford completed 22 of 38 passes for 231 yards, had an early interception that led to a Cardinal touchdown. He scrambled for 56 yards, and he gave you just enough to believe that, hey, maybe we got something there. And then very quickly we realized we didn't have anything there. He got to start the playoff game, hurt his neck, and the Rams still won that game in Seattle. But in this game against the Cardinals on this day in 2020, Troy Hill had an 84-yard pick six. The Rams got a safety. Matt Gay, 3 field goals. The good old days, right? The great days of Matt Gay. Samson Ebukam had 2 sacks. Morgan Fox had a sack. Leonard Floyd had a sack. Okay, since we're not going to be on the air tomorrow, I wanted to get this one in. On this day, January 4th, 2000, legendary Rams wide receiver Tom Fears died, and he has an amazing career. And we'll get into him another time, because I think I have spoken about Tom Fears before. Also, games on this date, January 4th, that'll be tomorrow, is the 37-7 loss the Rams had in the NFC Finals in 1975. Of course, it was played in January of 76. I was there, one of the more miserable experiences of my life, but I can say we stayed until Capoletti scored. We stayed for the whole game. But on this day in 1986, Eric Dickerson runs wild, and the Rams beat the Cowboys in Anaheim 20-0. So some feel good there. But what I wanted to get into on January the 4th, that's tomorrow, 1983, the Rams fired Ray Malavasi. Now, Ray Malavasi is a guy that's not thought much of in Ram history as the head coach of their head coaches, right? But Ray Malavasi is the guy that guided the Rams to the Super Bowl. George Allen's initial rebuild of the Rams from 66 through 70, those great teams, they didn't get to the Super Bowl. Those Chuck Knox teams, they lost conference finals in 74, 75, 76. They didn't get to a Super Bowl. And who's taking the Rams to the Super Bowl and won? Dick Vermeil, Hall of Famer, Sean McVay, future Hall of Famer. But Ray Malavasi, the Rams fired George Allen 2 games into the preseason of 78, and they installed Malavasi, and the team went 12-4. Malavasi was liked by the players. He was a straight shooting football guy, defensive guy. At 78, that was their shot, right? Again, Rams lost 28-0 to Dallas in that NFC final and stuff. But, who were the Rams running with in 78? They were running with a young Vince Ferragamo who replaced the starter in that NFC title game, who was Pat Hayden, who, like Pat Hayden or not, Pat Hayden had limitations. Malavasi survived, and this Ram team in 79 it was, Carol Rosenblum dies, Georgia takes over. She fires her stepson, who loses all interest in the team because the will was worked out just at that time to where he got nothing, and Don Klosterman was being pushed to the sidelines, and this team was chaos in that Ram team in 79, and they went through Hayden, they went through Ferragamo, they went through Jeff Rutledge, they went through Bob Lee, and yet Malavasi was the guy that got them that guided them, where they beat Dallas in Dallas, won the 9-0 NFC title game in Tampa Bay, and got this team to the Super Bowl. And literally, my good friend Steve Ramirez, he thinks more of Cromwell's dropped pick six, which it's a big moment, right? I get it. I think of Eddie Brown. Most people don't like me mentioning Jeff Fisher's name. I don't like mentioning Eddie Brown's name, but literally 2 or 3 plays, and the Rams beat the team of the decade, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in Super Bowl 14. And so you think about that. His first 3 years as head coach, Malavasi went 32-16, made the playoffs each year, and conference finals twice, Super Bowl once, a wild card playoff in 1980. And he was doing this as this team was starting to age out. And that's why everything kind of fell apart in 81, I think. One, there still wasn't a quarterback. They let Ferragamo leave after a brilliant 1980 season. They let Ferragamo leave to Montreal, which wasn't good for Ferragamo. But by 1981, Elmendorf had retired. So you had the back end of the safety that had been the safety room for 9 years gone, and Dave Elmendorf. By 1980, you had Fred Dreyer and Larry Brooks kind of showing age. By 81, Jack Reynolds was in San Francisco getting ready to win a couple of more Super Bowls. So this team was falling apart, and they didn't handle the Fred Dreyer thing real well. This great Ram player, and they treated him like garbage. And then let alone you're running at quarterback, Hayden, Jeff Rutledge, you're running Dan Pastorini, and everything was falling apart. They had stopped using Don Klosterman. Everything was falling apart here, and Malavasi paid the price because those veterans began to age in 81, and then, of course, everything came to a head in 82. They made the deal for Burt Jones. I love Burt Jones, but the neck went, and unfortunately, they got Ferragamo back, but it was too late. And so the Rams finished 2-7 in 82, and on January the 4th, which would be tomorrow, the Rams fired Ray Malavasi. And Malavasi is remembered for falling asleep during a radio interview with Robert W. Morgan. And sadly, this guy looked 70 years old in 1980. So I can only imagine the hard living he did. But this guy passed away at the age of 57 in 1987. 57. Did Ray Malavasi look 57 to you when he was on the sideline with the Rams? Ray Malavasi was younger when he was coaching the Rams in the Super Bowl than I am right now. And I don't think I look near as bad as Ray Malavasi. Different time, different things we put into our bodies, different stress levels and everything. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like he's my least favorite of Ram coaches. I love John Robinson, but he didn't get us to a Super Bowl. I am a George Allen guy, but he didn't work out. I did like Chuck Knox a lot, but you just wanted a little more, Chuck Knox was Sean McDermott, right? And everything. But Malavasi always gets the low end of the stick. But this was a guy that guided the Rams through a whole lot of turmoil and probably deserves to be a little better mentioned. And, if there was a classy move, I don't think it's going to happen. If there was a Ring of Honor, I don't think the Rams have a Ring of Honor, but the guy did get the Rams to a Super Bowl in a season of chaos in 79. And I think he probably deserves just a little more reverence in Ram lore. Just throwing it out there. Okay, guys. Let's see the questions that came in. Richard Ramos, I agree. Let's beat the Cowboys, then the Niners. That would be perfect. Oh, that would be gold, brother. That would be gold. Steve Ramirez. Remember, when you guys read Steve Ramirez here, Steve Ramirez is a longtime sports writer, and it's an honor to have him click on the show. Steve says, I think there is no difference between Detroit and Dallas, both at a coaching disadvantage. Let's not forget the Rams got blown out in Dallas in 1979 and won the rematch. Bingo, Steve. I do disagree. I do like Dan Campbell. We got to see about Dan Campbell, right? We got to see how he does in the playoffs. He's rebuilt the team. Now we're going to be interested to see where he goes in the playoffs. I like Dan Campbell at this point a little bit better than Mike McCarthy. That butchery of the final drive for the Cowboys in that Lion game where they should have ran the clock out, that was so egregious. That was really, really egregious. But a good point about the 79 Rams Cowboys. Here's the interesting thing, though, Steve, right? I think you know this. In 1980, the Rams kicked the Cowboys Keisters there in Anaheim on a Monday night, the Jarrell Thomas game, right? That's the game someone posted a pic of Ferragamo's bomb to Preston Denard that he caught in the end zone. And then 2 weeks later, they whipped the Rams 34-13 in Irving. Just something to think about. Tim Burns, Kobe Turner, our next defensive star. Yep, I think so. But again, it's going to be interesting. He's feasting right now on Aaron Donald, just like, Ndamukong Suh. Maybe he was at the end of the line. He got a nice contract. He went to Tampa Bay after the 2018 season. Greg Gaines and Ashawn Robinson, neither one of them would probably have gotten another contract if they hadn't played alongside Aaron Donald. And so it's going to be interesting to see. I think a great point to make there, Tim, is how's Kobe Turner going to play this Sunday against the 49ers without Aaron Donald next to him? That'll be interesting. Geez nuts, Detroit or Dallas, don't really care, but I would prefer Dallas. It's a revenge game for us this year, and really the only team that kicked our butts. So taking them out would be sweet. Geez nuts, I'm with you. Geez nuts, is McVay playing our starters for half a game? Right now, I don't know about the other guys, but you saw the list. It's all over social media right now. It's Stafford, Kyrie Williams, Kupp, Aaron Donald, Ernest Jones are all out this week. They're all going to be sitting this week. Tracy Amos, do you think Carson will be good? I think if Carson wants to stay in the NFL, Carson has to be good. And I think, we know he's got talent. And again, it's that whole McVay thing, right? Baker Mayfield, Demarcus Robinson, they put on a Ram uniform. They start playing with the Rams. They're under McVay. And I think he sees a golden opportunity. And tell me, whether or not starters play or not, think about where Carson Wentz will land in Rams lore if he throws 5 touchdown passes and beats the 49ers. Even though it's kind of a meaningless game for the 49ers, it's still something we're going to appreciate, right? And it is something that we're going to want to see in case anything happens to Stafford in the postseason. Let's see. Come on, Joe. Goff's thumb had a plate in it, and he won in Seattle. Give him props, you Stafford lover. I do. He's a gutty quarterback. It's nothing about Goff's courage. But what I was saying is that if he was good enough to come in and finish the game after Wolford hurt his neck in that wild card round in 2020, then he was good enough to start the game. But he was on the outs with McVay big time, right? And yeah, his thumb wasn't right. And that game the following week in the divisional round against the Packers, Aaron McDonald had the rib cage injury. And, that was another game where it's like, man, I hope the Rams can perform. And they held on, but I didn't expect much to come out of that game and stuff. But I'm not anti-Goff. I'm just pro Stafford. Let's see here. Wasn't he our defensive coach for a minute? Ray Malavasi? Yeah, he was. I think he was the DC, and he was the one that got elevated. Georgia Frontieri, geez nuts. Georgia Frontieri ruined the LA Rams. You ain't going to get an argument from me, brother. You're not going to get an argument from me. And there is something fishy there, no pun intended, in regards to the Rosenblum will, and all that stuff. Geez nuts. Major League, the movie about the Cleveland Indians. That is exactly what happened to the Rams. I guess so. Yeah, I guess you could say that. That's true. I think the owner of Cleveland was a lot prettier than. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's not cool. I probably shouldn't say that. Okay, guys, I think we got it.
It was a stone group, my man.
All right. Hey, thank you for making this a great week, and happy to be on back to back. We are going to be on Friday. Give you guys a little bit of a break from looking at this face, and no Thursday night game. Do you kind of miss it? I know we complained about it, but do you kind of miss the Thursday night game? I kind of miss having a Thursday night game. The games, every NFL game, every football game is precious. Okay, guys, I got to go. Thank you so much for clicking on, and we will see you soon.